I'm Steve from Toronto AIRSOFT, and I'm back again today to talk about red dot sights. I have in front of me here 4 different red dots, and they're arranged by cost, and we'll get into the specifics in a moment, but I wanted to talk why red dots for airsoft. So iron sights, as most people probably know, typically you have a front sight post, and then in the rear you usually have like a little shoe or something that has 2 notches. Basically getting the first notch, the front sight post, in between the rear sight post, that's how you know where the gun is aiming. That's great, and I actually recommend most people to start when you get the rifle for the first time, use the iron sights. But a lot of airsoft iron sights leave a lot to be desired. The sight picture is not the greatest. That's when something like a red dot can really come in handy. They just project a dot or a reticle into your field of view. If it's set up correctly, as soon as you actually pick up the dot in your field of view, when you pull the trigger, your BB should be going towards that dot. So it makes it for very fast target acquisition. The other thing as well too, they're designed to be used with both eyes open. When you close one eye, you lose your ability to see. Like right now I've closed my left eye, I pretty much can't see my hand until it's right there. So anybody right here on my side, I can't see them. Now I open up my left eye, I can totally see my hand again. Having that situational awareness, again, especially in a CQB, close quarter, where you can turn the corner and an enemy can be right there, it's imperative. And again, having a brightened reticle in a low light situation, you don't have to try to find your iron sights when it's dark. The other thing as well too, magnified optics, they add a lot of weight. There's a lot of glass on top of them. If you've ever had one on top of a rifle, that will start to wear you down after a while if you're playing for a long time, like all day. These are tiny, they're super light, even the metal ones. It doesn't add much in terms of your setup. The other thing I like about these in terms of upgrades as well, and first time upgrades, these can move from platform to platform, from a rifle to a submachine gun. As long as you have the rail system, Picatinny in this case, you'd be able to attach this. This is not a model specific upgrade like an inner barrel or a motor. So sometimes spending a little bit more money to get a little bit better value, and it will follow you throughout your airsoft hobby, is something else to consider as well, and a point that we will discuss. So as mentioned, I have the 4 red dots here in front of me, and I just wanted to introduce them and their price. And just to let you guys know, this is the pricing that we have as of the making of this video, and it's always subject to change at a later date. I also want to say that I have sorted these from price, from cheapest to most expensive, but that's by no means cheaper means bad and expensive means good. I want to try to get away from that thinking. I just want to kind of show what features we have and what you're getting at that price. Right here at the cheapest, we have the Valken V Tactical Mini RDA20. This is coming in right now at approximately $55 Canadian. Right away, the difference of this one compared to all 3, this is a plastic or a polymer-based construction. I can definitely see the fiber in it. I'm really liking the way that the plastics are going in airsoft. They're starting to get away from the shiny toy-like plastics to these more fiber-reinforced nylons, and I definitely do appreciate that. The other thing that this as well does is it is a bit of a weight savings reduction. They are very small optics or very small dots, but every little bit sometimes counts. So what makes this a $55 sight? The dot in this one is going to be a projection. So there's a little projector at the bottom that basically shoots a red dot towards a glass plane inside the actual sight. That type of projection, the way it's implemented on cheaper sights, if you are not looking at the sight completely dead on, if you start to tilt or you're trying to again acquire the actual dot, ever so slightly you might see the dot start to change its shape and size. So it doesn't hold its shape perfectly. Very, very common with a lot of airsoft optics. Something to be aware of. As well too, when cycling through the different levels, it starts at 0 and then you go through 1, 2, 3. you might not always get a perfect ramping from 0, 1, 2, 3 in terms of brightness. Maybe the first few levels might be quite dim, and then all of a sudden the brightness will pop up on, say, setting 3 or 4. So it's a little bit more random. It's not as precise. Saying and hearing all these things, you might think, and especially compared to the other ones, like, why would I buy this? Well, it's $55. Not a lot of optics are at this price range that are usable, and especially for airsoft, I would pick this optic over any almost backup iron sights, unless they were really nice glow-in-the-dark backup iron sights that are extremely rare in airsoft. This is going to be an improvement, especially here at Siege, but you'll see the difference when we definitely start moving up in terms of the quality and what you're getting and feature set, but this is a great place to start. Moving on from the Valken, we have the Maguri T1G, and again, this one was coming in at around $90. So now you're getting into a metal construction here. We have the little end caps, which I will remove. And as well, I just wanted to highlight that it comes with a rail segment. So right away, this is a cost difference. Having things manufactured in metal, there's a lot more steps as opposed to having them formed out of plastic. And as well, having an extra riser piece. This is not, was not included with the Valken. The Maguri can do a red or green dot, which is pretty unique. And it also has a lot more points of adjustment for brightness. I forgot to mention on the Valken, it only has about 5. The Maguri goes up to 11. The steps of brightness, the windage and elevation, much crisper clicks, much more positive feedback. Still has a projection system in terms of how the dot is projected onto the glass, but as you look, when you move it around, there is definitely less distortion than what was present on the Valken. And I would definitely say that sub $100 price range, between $80 to $100, that seems to get what I would call a very good value red dot optic, especially of these T1, T2 style optics. For quite some time, this was kind of the high end of airsoft grade, but for $90, great value, and again, a step up from the Valken in terms of the features that you're getting, and also the included rail segment as well too. So really nice optic. So moving on from the Maguri, we have the Holy Warrior T2 red dot sight. Holy Warrior being kind of a new company in the last year or so, and they're coming out with some amazing airsoft clones. I would definitely put these at the high end in terms of feature set. You actually have proper trademarks. It might be hard to pick up on the camera there, but embossed in the metal is Aimpoint Micro T2. You have a very nice slim metal housing that doesn't take up a lot of your view space, which is a little different than definitely like the boxy Valken or the slightly bigger, wider Maguri. You have 11 points of adjustment, 12 points of adjustment, and again, really crisp. The Maguri was crisp as well too, but you can actually hear it, how crisp it is. And there it's at 0, doesn't go all the way around. The distortion of the dot is very minimal, and that to me was probably one of the most impressive things. I feel like a lot of these airsoft clones, they've nailed the bodies and trademarks, but to actually have a really good optic, I classify this as a high-end airsoft clone. They do rate it as being shockproof. I would feel confident in it being shockproof on a gas gun, airsoft gun, not a real firearm, but shockproof for airsoft. And let's talk about battery life as well too, guys. So behind me, that's been sitting here in the frame, this is a Holy Warrior Micro T2 on the mount that I'm gonna talk about in a second. This has been running since December of last year. So we've been trying to see how the battery life works, if it'll die. It's been on brightness setting 3, so arguably pretty low, but it's still a really nice usable low setting, but it hasn't died. It's incredible. So when they're saying, Holy Warrior is saying that the dot could last for tens of thousands of hours, they actually might be right. So it's incredible. They're trying to basically back up a lot of the features that you would find on the real steel one. They're trying to incorporate it at the cheaper price points of these AIRSOFT clones. Holy Warrior is doing a fantastic job. I really hope that they continue. Let's again talk about this mount. It has Unity trades, it's a clone, but it's got backup iron sights, it's got the adjustment points as well, and you can actually adjust them. And it actually has a big gap too. You might even be able to use the backup iron sights on the rifle as well. And then again, you have the actual optic shields. You can use these and they have very good clarity. If a BB hits this, it'll shatter this and not the actual lens on the optic. Again, a lot of people have to buy that or create that aftermarket. You have that right out of Holy Warrior. So again, terrific value. As I said, we're selling them for around $120. You're getting a real steel feature set as close as you can that is AIRSOFT specific. So these are fantastic. If you're trying to create an actual build and trademarks are important, you're a collector, that becomes much more apparent. So yeah, I love Holy Warrior. I can't wait to see what comes out of them in the future. So moving on from the Holy Warrior, now it's time to talk about this Holosun HS403C. So this Holosun comes in, as I said, close to $300, $290. Definitely expensive when you're comparing to the rest of the optics on the table. What is it that you're actually getting? You're now actually getting into the realm of something that you can actually put on a firearm. AIRSOFT firearms, they operate vastly differently in terms of just the shock, recoil. The amount of pressure that is put on an optic from a real firearm greatly outnumbers anything that would come from AIRSOFT. So for us to now at Toronto AIRSOFT carry these real firearms optics, it's very exciting. You are getting basically a really, really nice clear picture, very, very good crisp projection of the dot, next to no distortion, even at the very most edges of the sight as you're picking up the dot. No rotary style like all these others. You actually have a digital in terms of the button presses here. This optic is rated at 50,000 hour battery life. That's literally almost 6 years of running the optic 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. To top it off as well, you actually have a functioning solar backup. The solar backup with that insane battery life, this will probably outlast several owners in terms of usage. It's incredible. You have a windage and adjustment. The caps are here. Very positive in terms of the clicks and everything, more so than any of the other optics. The Holy Warrior is probably close. Very lightweight. It does come with this mount as well, but you're getting incredible manufacturing. They also put nitrogen inside the actual optic, the housing, and what nitrogen does as an inert gas, it helps to avoid fogging and different types of atmospheric conditions. Something that you know could happen to one of the cheaper sites that are not sealed. So if all of a sudden around one of the optics the seal starts to give way and some moisture starts to get in there, you could get condensation and things like that. You definitely don't want that. That is not an issue. Holosun has a warranty, has after sales service. If you call them and you have an issue, Holosun will take care of you. That's the difference between a company that's trying to produce real steel, which has basically life and death requirements, as opposed to AIRSOFT, which is for fun. It's a hobby, it's a game. When things are made as a hobby or a game, there's not as much manufacturing, quality control, and features. When you need to rely on something in a life and death situation, which a real firearms owner would, it has to be manufactured to a much greater quality, and Holosun definitely does it here. At almost $300, while that does sound like a very expensive optic, when you do compare it to an actual Aimpoint T1, T2, an actual Trijicon, you're talking about some optics in the thousands of dollars range. If you're using this in AIRSOFT, but then you decide, hey, I would like to get into real firearms and stuff, good luck. you won't be able to use any of these other airsoft grade optics. This is a real firearms grade optic. It will actually work and you can use it on, a rifle. I'm not sure, again, a lot of these optics, they do get rated to certain calibers, meaning, maybe 5.56 or something, but a higher caliber, like a 50 cal round or something like that, it might not be able to take it. So there is that consideration in real firearms. But when you're talking about airsoft, this will do everything in airsoft and then some. It will never lose zero as long as it's solidly mounted and set up through there. Something I forgot to mention as well too, this has night vision modes. So if you rock night vision, which is still quite expensive, but again, a few people in our airsoft community do that, you can now use this with your night vision. None of these have a night vision mode and things like that. So again, the feature sets and things like that, the end user experience, who is using this? A real firearms owner or something like that, somebody with night vision. Buy once, cry once is the saying that I've heard. I don't know if I've maybe said that correctly, but it totally does apply to something like this. And these Holosun sights, they are great. Definitely love that we have them at the shop. So there you go, there is the review on the optics. I definitely did not hit every single feature. There's probably things that I missed, but what I'm hoping is that I conveyed the difference between a cheap optic and a more expensive optic. Again, I do not want to say cheap is bad, expensive is good. It might be overkill buying a Holosun if you only go play airsoft once a year or twice a year. It's a bad idea to maybe buy the Valken and think, hey, can I put this on an actual firearm? Pro tip, you cannot put it on an actual firearm. Again, differences, features, what you're getting for the dollar that you spend. In the end, I picked these because they're all the same. They're all a very similar style. They all project some type of dot or reticle that you use for target acquisition. However, the way they do it, the quality, the durability, can I trust it with my life in that situation? I would only do that with the Holosun. I would not do that with any of the other airsoft grade ones. Do you need that? That's up to you to decide, but it's great that you have a lot of options. And here at Toronto Airsoft, we're all about providing as many options as possible for you guys for all the different price points. Please let us know in the comments what you thought, and as well too, I am curious to know which optics you are using on your own personal rifles. Share that information, that's how we'll get better and smarter as a community together. And as well, if you're interested in any of these red dots, I would recommend coming by Toronto Airsoft when our showroom is open. There's certain things about the reticle and the quality that you just can't get through the camera, and seeing it with your own eyes, especially just how good a Holosun reticle is, makes a big difference. We'd love to see you. We hope you're staying safe, and I can't wait to see you all out on the field.